discrimination, is that what you found?
Yeah, that's what we find every day of our lives. From when you're children, you go to school and you suffer racism and prejudice every day, and that follows you on in life. And what that does is make our young people not engage fully with the wider society.
Yes, I was reading this report. It said something like 98% of people said that they had suffered discrimination. And just give us some examples from where you've grown up and what you've seen, how that's affected you.
There's discrimination from a lot of schools. My children are lucky; they go to school in Hertford, so they're at a very good school that does give support with being in and training them. But other than that, other children go to school, they suffer constant racism and prejudice. As they grow older, it's harder to find employment. You know, it's just very, very difficult.
One of the things that the report said was that there are a lot of misconceptions and that people think the focus should be on accommodation and the tensions around often caravans sort of settling in public parks, and people think about that and the tensions when actually that's totally missing the point. Is that something you'd agree with?
Yeah, definitely. Accommodation has been missed out, and although they explain at the beginning of the inquiry report why they've missed it out, that's a glaring gap, because how can you have safe education and safe health if you haven't got the fundamentals of housing? Discrimination and prejudice underpins everything, and you know, at my organisation we collate hate crime, and so we can see that we can map it. So if there's an unauthorised encampment in the Midlands, we will have hate crime reported in, and that will map to us, and we can pinpoint around the locations. So you know, at best, gypsies and travellers are ignored in policy, and at worst, we're discriminated against. So, you know, the government do have a responsibility to provide culturally appropriate site provision. They don't, and so therefore, you know, there is no choice but to go out on the road and to be unauthorised, and you know, this whips up a frenzy.
There seems to be part of the problem here is a real social apathy that seems to stem from false generalisations. So, as I was touching on with my question and indeed with your answer there, a lot of people think, well, you know, they're moving into our public spaces with their caravans, and actually 75% of people live in normal accommodation in normal neighbourhoods. Is that
what isn't normal? What is normal? 75% of us live in bricks and mortar accommodation, but whether you live in a caravan or whether you live in a chalet, that is normal. You know, gypsies and travellers have been forced over decades to come out of their caravans and go into bricks and mortar accommodation because the government has failed year after year, decade after decade, since really the 1970s, to continue with site provision. So we have no choice. It's not been a choice into bricks and mortar, it's forced assimilation.
So Sherry, what needs to happen?
There needs to be more sites built. Councils, local councils need to start thinking that, you know, they need to provide the accommodation rather than please their voters that are against gypsies and travellers. There needs to be more education, there needs to be more on the curriculum, and there needs to be a cross-governmental response to this. They've got 8 weeks to respond. This isn't new information to the government, and although we welcome it and we welcome that they've held their hands up, admitted it in the report, what we need is a real structure to change things going forward. This year is the 75th anniversary of Roma genocide. Every year, my organisation, Gate Hearts, we take a youth group out to Poland. Every year, there's 27 countries that attend. There's flowers and dignitaries from all over the world, nothing from the UK. The UK refuses to implement the Roma integration strategy. The UK government needs to change things for gypsy and travellers, and the racial disparity audit shows how bad it is for us.
An overlooked problem. Okay, Sherry, very good to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you.